These two teenagers has only one day to pass their history report, or they will have to face the worst fear of their lives. They have to travel back in time to fix that. The movie begins with two teenage boys, Bill and Ted, practicing in their studio while videoing themselves. It's in San Dimas, California, in the year 1988. While practicing, it seems that they pushed too hard on their equipment, which causes it to spark, as a result, spoils. After they blew their instruments, they argue of not having a good music video and instruments. The alarm rings. It's school time. They prepares and heads to school. At school, their history teacher, Mr. Ryan, asks Bill and Ted questions on history which they didn't answer correctly. After the class, Mr. Ryan calls the two boys and informs them that they must have an A+ on their final oral report, or he will have no option than to flunk them both the next day. Well, they comes outside, talking about being in trouble if they gets flunked. A beautiful lady packs her car in front of them. She asks Bill if he wants a ride. It turns out to be Bill's stepmother. Ted tells Bill how pretty his stepmom is, but Bill shuts him up. She drives them to Ted's house, where he tells them to wait for him so he can get his books. He goes inside and is surprised to see his father, who is a police officer, at home. He asks why. His father replies that he forgot his key, and asks if he haven't touched it. No sir, Ted replies. His father starts telling him that he spoke with his principal, who complains that he is failing history. Ted tries to defend himself, but he concludes that if he fails, he will have to send him to a military school. He is dismissed and heads back to the car. He explains the situation to Bill. In Bill's house, Ted is training on how to pass history when Bill's stepmother serves them some breakfast. His looks towards her makes Ted reminds him who she really is to him. Bill's dad arrives, and sends them out of Bill's room to have fun time with his wife. Ted makes fun of Bill for that. That night, outside a store, Ted asks a stranger a historical question, which the stranger replies, "I don't know." This boy is so determined to pass. When they are ready to go, the cloud changes and wind starts blowing, the sky opens, and some sort of telephone box falls from the sky and lands right in front of them. They are like, "Not bad." A strange man comes out from the box, looking like Morphix of Matrix. He greets them, which Ted replies by asking him if he knows when the Mongols ruled China. He really don't want to go to no military school. It's very clear. The man says that he is here to help them with their history report. They asks how. Then immediately, another box lands again. It turns out to be Ted and Bill, but from the future. What is going on here? The future them starts telling Bill and Ted that they are going to go back in time to get their answers. They recognizes the man and calls him Rufus. Confused, Bill asks them who they are.
"We're you, dude!"
Ted demands that if they are really them, then they should guess the number they are thinking right now.
69, dudes!
They tells Bill and Ted that they have to go back to the report. The future Ted reminds Ted not to forget to wind his watch. He also tells him that he should give his love to the princess. They heads in the box and exit. The box turns out to be a time machine. Before they heads inside their own box, Ted asks Bill if they are doing the right thing. Bill encourages him that they are. Their mission here is to get some historical figures from the past, so that they can help them pass their history oral report. Time to go. The man pressed some number on the telephone inside the box and advised them to buckle up. They enters, closes the door, and an antenna pops up and charges the box. They passes through a portal that leads them to a strange-looking place. They asks the man where they are, which he replies, Austria, 1805. Ted is amazed to see that they are in the middle of war. Time to depart. A man, who looks like a general, sights them. He didn't think much of it until a bomb is thrown at him, pushing him towards the box. It accidentally takes him through the same portal. They lands in another location. When Ted opens the door to confirm where they are, it's his house. Then they turns to ask Rufus if they can go to anywhere they want at any time. He says yes, but they must have to get to the report. He shows them a book that will guide them through. It's time for him to go. He warns them that they are on their own. After he left, the box comes back again. A strange man drops down from a tree. Bill recognizes him as Napoleon, shot dead from their history review. They takes him inside and Ted tell his brother to look after him. As they are heading outside, Ted meets his father who grounded him, but Bill is there to save the day. They gets back to the box and goes back in time. This time, in New Mexico, 1879. They goes into a bar. One man by name, Billy, who needs two men, grabs them as they volunteers to be with him in a game. They catches him cheating. When he is surrounded, Ted and Bill leads him to the time machine and they all exit. They heads back to Athens, Greece, for 10 BC. They seize this man, who is more like a preacher by name, Socrates. They grabs him and heads inside the time machine. It brings them to another place. It's England, 15th century. They heads to the village. Ted sights these two girls. He tells Bill that he is in love. Bill reminds him of the princess he told himself about at the Circle K. They come up with an idea on how to get to the girls. They disguise themselves with the guide's body armor. Bill mistakenly pushes Ted down the stairs. He witnesses Ted been stabbed. The guard searches around to see Bill and attacks him. The guide wants to stab him when Ted hits him with a bone from the back. It turns out that he removed his suit before reaching the ground when he fell down from the stairs. You are a genius, Ted. But you are a different person now. Trust me. They come in contact with the beautiful ladies. They are princesses. They get to know each other. Their father calls out to them. They goes to hide Ted and Bill from him. Ted asks the princesses what their father want. They says that they are going to be married to a horrible man today. They ask Ted if they have any escape plans. And they replies,
Of course, babes!
In opening the door, their father is standing right in front of them with his accomplices. Here is Bill's reaction.
How's it going, royal ugly dudes?
Their father ordered their execution. He is a brutal motherfucker. It's time to execute them. A man comes in with their time-traveling machine, saying that it fell from the sky, but the king still gives the guard order to take off their heads. They cut the ropes instead. It turns out to be Billy and Socrates. They runs off with the time machine as the guard chases after them. They get to a nearby forest. They stops and head inside the machine calling the first number to teleport themselves, but it is not going through. Meanwhile, the guards are approaching. Bill manages to get one right and it teleports them to their headquarters. They welcomes them like a king. Well, I guess they are. Bill and Ted tells them that they have to get back to their report. On the way, they notices that the time machine is broken because they don't know where they are going to again. In the other hand, Mr. Napoleon is doing just great with the kids. The machine manages to brings them to Vienna, Austria 1901. They seize a man. Bill grabs him with his rope, more like he was waiting for that moment his whole life. They takes him to the machine and rides down to Kessel, Germany, 1810. Takes the man who is performing with a keyboard. Goes down to Orleans, France, 1429. Takes this lady who looks like a guard from the movie, Merlin. To Outer Mongolia, 1209. With just a donut, they are able to get him. Now to the White House, 1863. Wait, is that President Lincoln? Well, of course it is. They grabs him too. The machine is broken too bad and lands them in San Dimas, California. Yeah, they're home, but in the 1 million BC. They all chew gum to fix the machine, which is successful. Yeah, that's us, 1 million years ago. They leaves the place. The machine takes them back to San Dimas, where they currently live. Ted and Bill sees themselves again. They are doing the same thing they did the last time they saw themselves. More like they are in a loop, but this time, we continue with the story of the future Ted and Bill. They takes off and lands in front of Bill's stepmom, who doesn't look surprised to see these people as Bill introduces them to her. Bill asks if she can give them a ride, but she tells Bill to do his chores first if he need any help from her. They all help Bill do his chores. To be sincere with you, it was fun. Bill brings them to a mall in San Dimas to have fun. I forgot to tell you that Mr. Napoleon was kicked out and was disconnected from Ted's brother. Now he is the only one remaining to be found. Well, Ted and Bill guesses his location, leaves all of them in the mall and goes to find Napoleon. Napoleon, who is having a good time, is stopped by Ted and Bill, who takes him back to the mall. But before they gets there, those they left there have all been arrested. What do you expect from people who haven't seen civilization? Ted and Bill goes to police station where Ted's dad works. Ted's dad sees him and won't let him explain himself. He tells him to go back home, pack his bags and get ready to go to the military school. But they have already traveled back in time to save this moment. Everything goes as planned as they rescues the historical figures. Mr. Ryan have already failed them both until the light turns off. Billy introduces himself, Ted and Bill. Meanwhile, Bill and Ted's father are on their way to the school to see their sons perform. They introduce the rest of the crew to everybody and answering all the historical questions. Everybody loves their performance, including their fathers. Bill and Ted gets inside the time-traveling machine and takes them back to where they belongs to. I pity Napoleon. He is going to be shot dead. They are back to their studio. Pretty arranged this time. They tells themselves that they have to learn how to play first before Rufus comes in with 2 ladies. It's the princesses. He explains their music will put an end to war and then go viral worldwide in the future. They thanks him. He brings a new guitar and begs them to play with them. They all play together. The movie ends. Please subscribe for more timeline videos like this. This is Timeline Recapped. Thanks for watching.